Everybody, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's 3.0 is roll call school board members. Everybody's present. You said he was coming, but we'll mark him as absent. And if he shows up, we'll adjust fire from there. Let's go directly into 4.0 communications and reports. Superintendent Colness, if you want to go ahead and move forward with your report.
Start off here with the enrollment report, and you can see that it's not hasn't changed a whole lot from last month. We did decline by one student, so we are at 1,816 students. It's been steady the last few months, so hopefully that number will grow as you move into the fall. Any questions regarding enrollment? If not, we'll head to the finance report with Amanda.
All right. So we can start with the budget to actual report that's up. I don't have very many notes for you this time around. Our expenditures are up as they have been consistently in the last few months, and the majority of that is salaries and benefits. On the upside, there are a few categories that we've been spending we've been trying to spend a little less money in to make up some of that difference. So there was nothing large that stood out different in the last month. And so then on the next page, you just had a couple notes. Our food service fund revenues are down from the prior, but we've talked about that too. It's just due to change in programs. The parent pay creates uneven funding streams. However, I do expect that to be down from where we were at the prior year when we end the year. On the positive side, our community education dollars are up, and that is mainly due to school readiness fees. And then Diane's just had a lot more programming take place. There's more afterwave revenue. However, that does result in the expenditures being a little bit higher than they have been in the past as we pay for those extra programs. But that was all the notes I had on the budget to actual. Any questions? All right, so on the treasurer's report, our cash position is down from the prior year at April 30th, which is reasonable based on our increased expenses. Most of that decreases in the general fund. And then I did notice I didn't write a note for what the movement was in that adjustment column, and that is just moving one of the investments that matured in the TD Ameritrade account to our general account. So the last investment there will mature this month, and we'll move that over as we have to close that account this month. But all those funds will just be moved into our checking account, and we should be good to go there. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Thanks, Amanda. All right, 4.3 administration.
All right, I'll go through a few things here. First of all, legislatively, there are only a couple weeks left in the session. Still a lot of movement going on down in St. Paul. So, I sent you a note this morning, and there'll be updates coming this afternoon as well. So I'll make sure I get that to you. There are some major changes that could impact public education, and I think you need to really we'll all be keeping a close eye on things. The unemployment bill for hourly workers could have an impact. Right now, will have an impact if that goes through, because right now there's no dedicated funding for that. They say that will come out of our formula increase. So that's concerning to school districts. So we'll see how they work through that process. FMLA, I know that's a topic in the Senate today. There are a lot of moving parts, so stay engaged, and if you get some action alerts from MSBA, please reach out to our legislators. I think our legislators locally feel the same way. They're concerned about different bills, and we have to really keep an eye on things. The end of the school year there's not much time left. Before we know it, it'll be June 1st. So the last day will be June 1st for students. Staff day is on that Friday, June 2nd. And hopefully all goes well. We have no snowstorms in May, and we can, move forward from there. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. So if you get a chance, if you see teachers today and they're throughout the week, please thank them for everything they do. They are the biggest asset we have in our district, and they're the ones that are working with the children every single day. And we greatly appreciate all of their efforts. The annual recognition celebration. Now, Carla, correct me if I'm wrong. Now it's May 30th, right? at the Eagles. So kind of mark that in your calendar. It usually starts about 4 o'clock and goes till about 6 o'clock and can order burgers, et cetera. And it's a great way to recognize staff. 2023-24 fee schedule. I'm scheduled to meet here with building leaders and activities director, and we'll bring a recommendation forward here either in late May or in early June, but some adjustments will probably be needed as far as we don't want to cause or charge so much that kids can't participate, but we also have to be able to produce enough revenue to support all of our activities. And technology purchases, there were two documents that were shared with you. They're pretty standard for the last few years. Right now, the only building that does not have updated staff machines would be New Heights. They were the last one as far as getting in the rotation, and their machines they've actually really served their purpose very well. They've been using them for about probably 7 years, Jason,
Yeah.
7 or 8 years. And it's time to upgrade those machines, and so we'll have a couple of years off after that, but we've taken care of the staff. And then also 2 grade levels of Chromebooks. No action is required today, but those are the 2 things we know that we would really, from a technology standpoint, like to move forward with. If we need to trim it back a little bit, there's a little room for that. But the third request that we had during our technology meeting would be the display boards that we have them at South Point New Heights. So there's new interactive boards. CMS would be the next building that would be up. If we were to purchase those, that's not a necessity. So we'll wait and see. And right now, they're more of a TV that's touchscreen. So we've transitioned away from the smart boards and use those interactive. Yep. Yeah, they're very nice. They do a great job, and you don't have to worry about replacing bulbs and in all those well, help me out here again. Projectors, yeah, which seems to be a problem. That's all.
You guys have a price on all these things at all?
Yep. Yeah, the price quotes for the Apple should be uploaded in under my report. All right, it was roughly 60,000. 63,000, and the Chromebooks were about a little between about 105,000.
And what about for the boards?
The boards are roughly $3,000 a board.
How many would you need?
That's up for debate, but we priced out 25.
So you have the 2 today, right?
Yeah, and they're just there for information. No action is required on those today. But we will need that. It's not like a couple of years ago when you couldn't get the machines. We actually don't want them till after June 30th. So we can wait on that, and it's not like the supply isn't there. A few years ago, we had to order them 6 months in advance to get them. So these prices are good, throughout the summer.
So you won't bring it to the board until later May?
Probably late May or early June.
Okay.
Just to get approval so we can get that things moving, but we want it to be billed after this fiscal year ends.
Maybe by that time, though, there'll be more meetings to know exactly if CMS.
Yep.
I don't think it's a matter of if CMS wants to go with them. I think it's just a matter of how many that are utilized.
Mhm.
They're pretty, they're the cat's meow, but
They're not a necessity right now. I would say.
teachers aren't gonna use them.
Yep.
They're not gonna use them, but
Yep. Yeah, so we want to make sure we get those staff machines taken care of at New Heights, and then the Chromebooks. Those are the highest priorities. So that's all I have.
thank you. Why don't you move, I don't think we have anything on here for any other reports.
No,
Move directly into the committee reports, if you would.
health and safety, the group did meet, and I did not print out a copy of those minutes, but I'll share those with the entire staff and with the board. It was a pretty quick meeting. There were some things suggested from a safety standpoint, and that information will be shared with you. The group met on April 25th. Long-term facilities maintenance, it would be nice to set up a meeting, and I've talked to Mark Dragich and Reed Hutton from the city and to talk about the CMX Sports Complex, but it would be nice to get the group together with them, and I'll arrange that meeting here sometime within the next, I would say 2 to 4 weeks. Okay,
Oh, I do have a question on that. If
Yep.
we've already approved money, I think we approved money last year, right? For,
the fence?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting installed right now.
well, it could have fooled me.
No, they were there Friday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it needs to, if
Yeah.
we paid for stuff, it needs to
Yeah,
stop.
we haven't paid for anything yet, but that was approved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
'Cause it's been sitting stagnant there, and
Yeah, Dakota Fence was there Friday.
make sure
So
that
they're supposed to be there today, but
we're
we'll see.
approving projects, that the projects are getting done, and we're not waiting because somebody's gone at the school district level. They need to get done. We have athletics out there that that are depending on that. And school's not just about athletics, but it troubles me. to Prove things and then we sit on them or we have a vendor that says, I can't get there, I can't get there. Well, then we need to push a little bit more, or we need to find a different vendor. So let's start getting this stuff done.
Policy Review Committee, group met on April 24th to discuss some potential changes. We have not set another meeting date, but as soon as the group members find a date you'd like to get together, let me know and we can move forward. I would recommend probably waiting till after the legislative session gets done in case there are changes, unless there's something that's of immediate need. And then meet and confer, the teachers did meet last week and they had no new concerns. So felt there is no reason to gather to meet as a group. So that is it as far as committees go.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to 5.0 consent agenda. Does anybody want anything pulled from the consent agenda? All right, with that being said, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I do just have one discussion, questions or discussion.
No.
Here, Amanda, I think we can all see on there that we're losing another director. We knew that was coming. I don't want to jump the gun. We're restructuring as a district, but we need to figure out how and where that director falls in, whether it's so whether that's a discussion that board members have individually with the current superintendent. I don't think we can wait.
Right.
We need to figure something out. We have bus issues all the time. I think that's a vital position, whether that's its own position or whether it gets blended into something else, but it's vital. We got to figure it out. And maybe the superintendent already has, and staff already have some recommendations, but I think I just want to mention it. So we gotta figure something out there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the resignations when I read them.
We've known that's been coming for quite a while. She's relocating to Rugby, North Dakota. So
I think now is just the time as we know, and now that it's actually official, we got to just make sure that we're doing our due diligence and figuring out where that lies. Because I don't think we can have we have a superintendent right now that sends out emails stating that a bus is stuck or this bus isn't going and this bus isn't going and the director's doing other things. But if we don't have somebody handling the operation side of things, we're gonna be in trouble again. So just an FYI. So any other comments on the consent? All those in favor of approving signify by stating aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 6.0 opportunities for citizens to speak on items not on the agenda. I did not have any. Superintendent Colness.
I did not receive any requests.
So we'll move on to 7.0 to approve the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to add discussion to it.
Well, that's what I have a couple of things and maybe I'm trying to figure out how we want to do that. You know, let's do this discussion before, and then we can decide if it needs to be added on to the agenda or not before we actually approve the agenda. The agenda is presented. So I'll go with the first two that I was bringing. The first one that I wanted to talk about that we said we were going to talk about today was the involvement in the interview process. We all heard Lee talk to us that decision does not have to be made. Ultimately, we have to make a decision by the 15th. We have a meeting next week with Lee deciding on how we're moving forward. I feel that this is my perception and I want board discussion. And again, we're not here to talk about the interviews or our next steps, et cetera. I think, but I do feel it's appropriate to table it and wait till next Monday to make the decision if we want any involvement. I do, for my perception, I think we got everything that we needed as surveys, and I don't know what else we're going to get with other involvement. I've changed my tune. I'm talking a little bit hypocritical up here compared to the last meeting, but did receive those surveys, and you can clearly see what's jiving with the school board wants.
And there was double the teacher participation of what they normally get.
Yeah.
So that's kind of incredible and awesome.
So if we want that added to an agenda to make a decision today, I think we certainly could do that.
I would feel comfortable waiting until next.
Wait until, just
Yeah,
table it,
just
yeah.
Hear a little bit more from,
From Lee?
Emily?
yeah.
And-
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so let's just, we don't need to put that on the table. The other discussion item that we need to have, I've been approached by every board member, as well as members of the community, so staff, et cetera. It's been a year since we've restructured within, well, New Heights and South Point, and I think it's time to take a look at that again. We can do that twofold. We can have a discussion amongst ourselves today, which really the board isn't the table or the avenue to have an operations discussion, or we can all, share our thoughts with the superintendent and then bring it to ask for something to be brought as an action item at our next meeting. So I guess part of me would like to say, hey, let's talk it through right now and try to make a decision on how we want to go forth. Get a motion, get a second, et cetera. But the last thing that I want is then us doing that and not looking at budgetary constraints and looking at there's all sorts of mixing pieces. So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is we need to look at it. No matter what, next meeting, I want something brought back to say what we're doing next year. Or how we're gonna do it next year. If there's discussion here, though, we certainly could have it at the board level. That's just my thoughts. I don't feel it needs to be an agenda item today. It needs to be an agenda item in the near future, not Monday. That's a special meeting, but the following meeting, it needs to be an agenda item. But we're also I just mentioned the director position too. So I think it all falls into the realm of restructuring the district on how we want to move forward. So
I think it'd be beneficial, and I mean, you're the board, right? And you can make whatever decision you want to do today, but I think it'd be beneficial for all of you to get a time to sit down and meet with me and discuss these, because we have a lot of moving parts. And it's not just in the administrative team, it's also in the business office and transportation department. And so you can get all of the information, right? And if you have questions for me, I can try to answer them and look through some information, but that way you can make an educated decision on how you move forward. And you can have discussion at the board level too, but here, or at the table, I think it'd be good to talk about the history and also, how we moved into where we are now and where we need to be. So, because there are some big decisions that will need to be made. And like transportation, that's, we've had two people there, like Jeff and Debbie have been there forever, or as long as I've been here. And we have some moving parts there, and we need to talk about those things because it's not all black and white. There, you have to be creative, so.
So other board members, thoughts?
I don't know, I feel it's a lot for one person, for the elementary schools. And however the budget is, we're gonna have to figure it out. Advertising or doing something now or having a discussion now doesn't necessarily hurt anything, just like with the superintendent. We don't have to hire a superintendent right now with the applicants that we have, but it's out there.
Yeah.
I think that we should put it out there. We should tell the community, hey, keep your eyes, ears open, if there's someone interested in the job, because what if someone in the district is interested in it? And we have to fill a position or something, we need to start, there are a lot of moving parts, I agree, but I think it's a lot for one person alone. And I've heard that from members of the community, and I think it's something that should be addressed sooner rather than later. My 2 cents.
My concern would be, we have teachers right now with administrative, qualifications. What if they're already looking for other districts? What if they're looking at Fisher, Crookston, or other areas? And now we miss out on somebody or lose another person because we're waiting on, advertising or putting that word out there that is a possible position, I guess.
Lynn and Lindsay, I do think, I feel both.
But
guys.
I understand the constraints with the money as well. Like if we're advertising and we're saying, oh, just kidding, you don't have enough money. Well, now someone else,
We lose them anyway.
they missed out on an opportunity that they had.
I think you have to be careful about talking about personnel
Yep.
here.
Yeah, and that's the reason I didn't really want, I don't want to put it as an agenda item. I think those are two very valid points.
Mhm.
The one point that Mike did bring up, I would have brought up if he didn't. There's some backstory, that the new board members, on how things were shifted, certainly need to be brought up to speed on that. I think that's appropriate to sit down with Mike. We all know up here, or at least I feel that the majority that I've heard from is we have to figure something out. What's happening now is not working. What that next step is, I'm not quite sure. I do feel you, Josh, where you're saying, hey, there's teachers, there's teachers out there that may have this, maybe looking elsewhere. I think sometimes we have to take a risk. I think we can still, if people can meet this week with the superintendent to have that conversation. We haven't posted our special meeting on the 15th. If we feel as a board, I think we need to talk right now as a board. If we feel that this is a high priority issue, well, let's get it done. Let's visit with Mike. Let's make sure that before I have to post, which is Nancy, what, Thursday morning or Thursday at some time. And we can actually even extend that because it's a special meeting. The latest probably we can go is this Friday, but we're gonna shoot for Thursday to post it. So if those discussions could be had, we could put that in the agenda at the special meeting. Again, that's the only thing that would be able, we would talk about the interview process. I can't remember how we have it laid out for this next special meeting, but we could also put that on the special meeting. That would give us a week, give everybody an opportunity, or give the superintendent time to reach out, backstory, talk a little bit about, I guess I'll echo, I mean, the budgetary constraints is, if there's constraints, we have to figure it out. We have to do what's best for the district. We sit up here all the time and we're so kind just to approve something. And now we feel that we're hearing from the community. We're hearing from staff, and other individuals. We have to do something. So, that's the reason I want to bring up. If somebody wants to add it to the agenda, I mean, everybody's individual board members, you're certainly welcome to throw it onto the agenda.
I think it's wise for everybody to talk to.
Wait to
wellness.
wait.
Yeah.
Could I make an ask then of the board from my position that those conversations at least try to be had before end of business on Thursday, and then just reach back to me so I can coordinate with Nancy if we do need to get that onto a special meeting? Okay. Anything else, Amanda? You said, yeah, was that what you wanted to talk about, or, okay, anything else that somebody would like added to the agenda on something that's not on the agenda? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to a move to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.1 is to approve the 2023-24 school readiness fee schedule. So that's attached in board book.
Diane sent me a message, Jill, that you might chime in a little bit. But just if there are questions, however, I did not. Diane, I don't know, originally she had planned to be here, so I'll answer questions. That's what, but the information was shared with you at the last meeting. You can see the data there, and she would like to see those fees set so she can get that information out to families.
Can we just either Jill or Mike remind us? I know when Diane was here last time, it was a short presentation, but she's just looking. It's a 10% increase, and that's kind of been the norm that we've done the past. Well, I don't know how many years, but since we've started working heavily and concentrating on the program has been a 10% increase, and we're still full. So with that being said, I will, and you don't like increasing fees ever. But I think there's a demand for it. Is there a waiting list, Jill?
They probably will be, I would say. And yeah,
It
and
doesn't open up yet.
we started off pretty, very economical, I would say, or very fair when we started increasing the full day, and we've just gradually increased those to try to make sure that we're cost effective, and it's going to be an investment by the district. However, we need a balance. And
I'll make a motion to
Yeah.
to approve the proposed fee schedule.
I'll second.
Okay, questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving signify by stating aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.2 is to approve the 23-24 CMS handbook. Ms. Walters, would you take the podium, please? Unless there's no questions, but I'm guessing there's going to be questions. So I'll entertain a motion, and then if we can get a second, and then we can do discussion or questions if need.
I'll move to approve the CMS handbook.
I'll second.
Okay. Guess this time I should ask, is there any questions or discussion? If there isn't any, then Jill just walked up there for no reason.
That's okay.
I
That's
have
okay.
questions.
Yes.
What tool do you guys use to monitor the tech and the online stuff? Like what?
The company that we use is called Securely, and
Okay,
our teachers have had trainings using Securely. I wanted to stay away from naming the tool because when you name the tool, if something changes mid-year, now you're not accurate in sharing that information
Yeah.
with parents.
okay, yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then,
Jill, I'm sorry to interrupt. Maybe with that, without going too deep into it, can you explain a little bit on how that tool works, like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, so
Someone such as me.
teachers can be at their own desktops or laptops, and they can be looking at screens of students, and they can close or they can freeze the tabs that students are at. So if a student goes and types in something that wouldn't be appropriate according to our acceptable use policy, there would be an instant message that would go to it would come to our office, and then we follow through either by, depending on the what was looked at, we talk to students, or we send the information home to just, hey, mom and dad, just so you know, this was something that your sixth grader happened to look at today too.
Very happy. I mean,
Yep,
you get-
Yep, and
you get weekly
necessary,
reports.
and absolutely necessary for us to have some kind of a tool to monitor that. When you have access to so many things right here in front of you, we want to make sure that we're having kids focused on the learning that they're expected to do, and not having the distractions of all of the other things.
teachers like the use of it, like the ease of use, or is it?
They-
difficult to-
They do, like anything, we have teachers that use it immensely, and we have some teachers that use it a little bit less, but there are some classes that there is less use of this as a tool anyway. So like, if we're talking about our tech class, they're not using this a whole lot. They're up in their hands and moving and using the tools of the class versus this.
Then I had one question on the season pass. Is $25, like, is money, it's always about money. Is $25 like enough to, or is it like, is it always been $25 for the season pass?
It has been since I've been here. So in the handbook itself, the main handbook that's 20+ pages, we didn't adjust anything yet because the fees haven't been talked about. But what I did on the summary page that I'd shared with board members was just added the asterisk with subject to change based on school board action. So we know that there are some things that, because we're on a little bit of a timeline to make sure that we get this out and to our publisher and back by our goal is orientation. We know that there are some things in here that won't necessarily be accurate. So if we know that, then I wanted to make note of that so that gives us a little bit of flexibility, but still consistency along the way.
Yeah.
If that makes
It
sense.
I just didn't know like when the last time it was changed or anything, and I saw that. Wasn't sure like if it was changed or I just hadn't zero.
Not yet.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Guess I know that this was put in by a group, and it was put in by the board some time ago, but now if I'm looking at a change, and again, I don't want to get focused on the operations because that's why the professionals are hired, but this is a decision that we put into play regarding this FIAD dress apparel.
Mhm.
And it looks like you're putting there's a new aspect to this: failure to dress and participate result in the affected grade, et cetera. So can you explain, it was so, we needed to have this so bad. It was brought in front of the board. Hey, we need to approve this. And this was prior to you, Jill. We have to approve this. We have to go with it. You're the new administrator. You've been there for enough time now. And I guess just because we made a decision in the past, if we don't need to be doing it, let's not be doing it. Or is this appropriate? Is there a reason behind it?
Having our gym uniforms.
Well, I get that. I mean,
Yeah.
people stink. That nature, they're middle schoolers. and
Yeah.
They need to practice hygiene and things of that nature. I know that, but to put into a policy, failure to dress and wear that stuff. My concern is that by having this in a actual policy handbook now, does that put too much power in the teacher's hand by Brandon showing up and I forgot my uniform today.
Yeah, so the adjustment of this language actually got rid of a component that said along the lines of if a student doesn't dress, they would get like a detention.
Okay, okay.
To me, I have a
That's what I'm
concern
looking
with the disciplinary end of that because there are some barriers. And so we also had in place this year and then put it into language that if there is a barrier with you getting your gym uniform, we will help you.
Okay.
And that help comes through the form of our school social worker. The help comes through the form of some additional funds if we, and at the end of the year, there are lots of eighth graders that no longer have the need for the specific CMS gym uniform. They will then donate or forget their gym uniform in their locker. So then we take those, wash those up and sell them at a much reduced rate. And then along like this year, we had a number of students that came mid-year and we offered those used, clean gym uniforms to kids as they came and said, hey, let's help you get ready for the first day of school. Here are gym uniforms. You know, they have been used, they're washed, they're clean, they're in good shape. And it's at least less than half the cost for that. So we're trying to take away the barriers and also trying to apply it appropriately because there are some layers of choice with middle schoolers when they say, I don't really want to wear that. It's not my color. I don't like it. Okay, well, then understand that that's a choice that you're making and that's going to result in maybe a 2-point reduction of the 10 points per day. So we have the conversations with the students instead of just saying, well, you're not dressed, check it off. Well, why aren't you dressed? What's the reason? Is it choice or is there a barrier? And if so, let's have a private conversation and make a plan to help you so that you can show up tomorrow with what you need.
Sounds like.
Okay.
And lastly, school year's not even done yet. We're restructuring as a district. So I guess what I'm asking you as the administrator of this school,
Mhm.
stating that, hey, you gotta get this printed. Now you can, fine, that's who we usually print it to. Is there a benefit of waiting? We don't know what we're going to do. We know that we're having a new superintendent in some way, shape or form, leader of the district. Are you comfortable as the leader of this school, us moving forward?
With this, absolutely.
That's what
Yep.
I wanted to bring to.
Yep.
bring to-
So if you'd asked me that question last year in the same circumstance, we made a lot of changes to our handbook last year. This is really language things. This is how it is that we operate and it's more accurate to what it is that we do day to day. And that's what these adjustments are. It's not pages of policy. It's not, major reviews. This is just a natural progression moving forward with small changes and small updates that we really have the goal of just making sure that people are aware of so that if situations come up, we can say, we let you know in the handbook because we will always let you know because that respects you.
Perfect.
So.
Well, that's what I needed to know.
Going forward too, we have a contract with our current company to print planners, which also include our handbook, for 1 more year. We are then looking to transfer out of any kind of printed planners because we're not sure if the value is really there. And what we want to do is shift students into using more of the online tools. And then we also have communication on our school website of daily assignments for families and parents to access every day, every week, all of the time. And our teachers have been really good since we implemented that in making sure that those are updated. That to me is a more valuable tool than to have a piece of paper or a notebook or a planner that we're carrying around and not really using to the best of our ability.
So that contract, Superintendent Colness, is that one that we at the
middle school.
level?
Yep, correct. It was a 3-year contract, and it was all paid through monies from Caulfield. So it's not anything that the district has paid for, but what we'd like to do is reallocate those funds from Caulfield's for more applicable things that we are using on the day-to-day.
So there's no sense in me suggesting that we go and see what the penalty is for not being part of it. We use what we have right now. We write it out and then.
Yep.
Because we just talked at the beginning of the board meeting about technology.
Mhm.
Let's get rid of paper. That's what we're trying.
Yep.
And I
So 1 more year and we'll do that.
can tell you that when they come home, that's where they stay. So.
Yep.
Just from my perspective.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Sorry to elaborate through this subject, questions or discussion, board members? All right, there was a motion by Brought, a second by Holwiger. So all those in favor of approving the 23-24 handbook signify by stating aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.3, looks like we have some donations today, so thank you, Jill.
All right, I will make a motion to accept the following donations. A donation from Anonymous to Senior High for volleyball in the amount of $1,000. A donation from Deeks Pizza to CMS for Outsiders Day in the amount of $542.99. A donation from George Carview and Renee Kamesic to CMS for Outsiders Day in the amount of $100. A donation from East Grand Forks Sports Boosters to Senior High for girls basketball shooting machine, $3,410. A donation from the East Grand Forks Sports Boosters to the Senior High for the boys basketball shooting machine, $3,410. And the total amount of donations is $8,462.99. That is my motion.
I'll second.
Questions or discussion? Certainly thank you to all those individuals. All those in favor of approving the donations to the school district signify by stating aye.
I,
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 9.0 is, 9.0, we gotta pay the bills. Eric's not here. Do we have an assistant treasurer? Okay, I'll do this. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm gonna move to approve the payment to K-12 bills number 124,765 through 124,819 and electronic or EFTs as follows. Let's see, EFTs in the amount of $1,191,012.83. And there's a total of $1,430,000, or excuse me, $430,454.48. 46, sorry then.
Second.
All right, questions or discussion on the bills that have been uploaded in the board book? All those in favor of approving them signify by stating aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move to 10.0, board member comments. And let's remember that we do, let me just put a filler out there before board member comments is that we do have a special meeting coming up regarding the superintendent search on Monday. So that's my way of saying nicely, they don't belong in these comments. So, but certainly if need be, if something needs to be brought up, but Josh, you get to start.
The only thing that I would have a concern about, and it's probably nothing that we can handle or anything like that right now, but like spring sports are a really difficult time right now because they can push back. And I know that there are some teams that had missed about four afternoons last week, and they're on the books to miss 4 or 5 this week. So I mean, that the educational side of things kind of does concern me a little bit. You know, I have one student that would probably be all right missing 7th hour 9 times, but I have another one that would not do very well. And so my concern is with that, and I've had a couple parents, you know, just in comments talk about that, and I don't know if that's something that, I have no idea how to change that. I know that's a concern for me as a parent. I don't have a student right now, but I would be if there was a struggling student, and it's only gonna get, the next week's gonna be about the same, I'm assuming, so. I don't know where to go from there or what, but the educational side of things kind of bugs me a little bit.
Any bonus you wanna address?
I would
that
say
a
we have
little
to do
bit?
everything we can to protect school time.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Sometimes we're dealing with transportation, sometimes we're dealing with other schools, but the message has to be, we have to do whatever we can to protect school time.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's difficult. And when you bump everything this late, you know, like in softball, you know, for seeding purposes, they have to try to get 14 games in. That's kind of, you know, they have some restrictions there, but yeah, it's hard. And all the golf courses are open, so golfers are going to be gone. But
Yep. No, that's.
yeah, no, it's spring is tough.
And I don't know what the answer is. Yes.
Well, at least if nothing else, I think it noted that it's been brought to the attention of the school board and as Mike, as you've alluded, protect, educational time and give that direction to the athletic director who's
Yep.
doing the scheduling. I guess my question is not knowing that side of things, at the other levels other than the high school? Is the athletic director the one that's doing that scheduling, or the individual coaches doing that now? Because of the issues in the spring, is it the coaches calling back and forth to other coaches and saying, hey, can we get this game?
It should flow through the activities director. You know, the sports are kind of unique. Golf and tennis are ones that kind of branch off and they have a lot of connections with coaches, but for the most part, it should all flow through the AD.
I think if we just make sure that continues.
And I think the message needs to be clear, not just in the springtime, but also during the fall and winter seasons, because there's no reason where we have to play football games, for example, at 6 o'clock if we're pulling kids out of school, unless it's a homecoming event. You know, that's just an example.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's fair. And
Yep.
the only reason that I bring it up is, as Josh, you explained, not sure what to do, but I think there are some things that we
Yep.
can do. And if there's coaches, Josh, you are one, typically
Yep.
your coach,
Yep.
your stuff doesn't happen till later in the evening. But I think
Yep.
the point is that message needs to go. The reason I asked if it's the activities director and or the coach is that those coaches, yes, they work for the district, but some coaches are just that, they're the coaches, and that message needs to be sent that it's education first. That's the priority of the district, and this, I get it, but at least maybe wink, wink, if that message, Josh's concerns can go back to the activities director and that can be passed down. There's probably not a lot we can do with 18 days of school left and them trying to make all the schedules and get as much time as possible. Possible in, but it's.
And Mother Nature isn't being very helpful, like even today, you know, so,
Making it worse.
yeah, making it
Okay.
worse. So,
Lin-
yep.
Lindsay, you're next.
Yeah.
Josh, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Lindsay,
I'm good. I have no
Okay.
comments.
Amanda?
I had a quick question. Have we had any applicants for the, business manager position at all or anything?
Yes,
We have, okay. Cool, just wondering. And then.
but I'm gonna be careful. I really can't talk about
No, that's
personnel.
fine.
Yeah.
It's not any applications. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. Lynn?
I have no comments.
I have none. Today, hopefully, if we're talking about athletics, it's supposed to be like this the majority of the week. So hopefully they can get out there and get their things done. But good luck in the last couple weeks of school. The 11.0, the next official Board of Education meeting is scheduled for May 22nd at 5:30 PM. New board members, you can expect at that point in time, probably a piece of paper from Mr. Lohr, wink, 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 and it's not my turn this year, so just for graduation, this year, so. Yeah, or I can't remember how you did it. If you do an email and then you just come share with us, but I think that would,
We should get a little-
we don't have a meeting after that, between that and graduation, I don't believe, so.
You said I did last year.
I'll be there for part of the Education Foundation.
And so with that, we do have, I'll note, so the public knows as well, there's a special meeting that's gonna be scheduled for Monday,
At 5:30.
May-
5 o'clock.
May 15th. I can't remember, it's 5 or 5
I
o'clock.
put it at 5 on my calendar, but that doesn't mean too much.
I have 5 too.
Okay.
Most likely it's 5 o'clock and that talks about next steps. So with that being said, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, anybody want to talk about adjourning? All those in favor of adjourning signify by stating aye. Aye. Anybody